Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon. My name is Gary Fowler. I'm the CEO, president, and founder of GSD Get You Done Venture Studios, a premier AI and quantum venture studio located in the heart of Silicon Valley. I'm a 17-time serial entrepreneur with several unicorns under the belt. I was the original management team of Click Software, which was sold to Salesforce for $1.35 billion, and also AI, an HR tech company that I co-founded with Dr. David Jang. We believe that intellectual capacity is evenly spread around the world, but opportunities are not. And that I have an incredible guest today. Jerry Floros is an entrepreneur, an investor, an advisor, an author, an influencer. He loves AI, blockchain, crypto, DeFi, tokenizations. He's located in London, England. He's got 37 years diversified back in FinTech, finance, engineering, maritime, and engineering. So with that, I'd like to bring Jerry on. Hi, Jerry. How you doing today?
Great, greetings from London. A big shout out to my friend Fabio. He's probably watching from San Diego, and Zimi and some other people that are joining in. There's an echo, Gary. Maybe you can have a look at it. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, not sure. But anyway, so tell us a little bit about did you grow up in the UK, Jerry? Were you originally from London, or where are you from?
Well, originally I was born in Belgium. My dad is Greek, my mother Swedish. They met in Belgium. Then I moved to New Orleans. I lived there for 8 years. Then I lived in Hamburg, Germany, and then I moved back to Antwerp, and then now I live in London. So I've been here for about 8 years, and ever since I've been involved in fintech and finance.
So you went to the University of Pennsylvania for some time. Is that where you got your degree? Did you just spend some use courses there?
Just courses, executive education, but it was the most interesting and the most valuable course I've ever done in my life. It was just amazing. It was just incredible, just amazing stuff.
So how did you go from, how did you get into the whole marine, safety and that environment? How did you go from Belgium to getting to marine safety? How did that work?
Well, my dad had his own. We had our own family business, and we started. I started my dad's company. We worked, and then I was shuttling back and forth since a little kid to London, visiting shipping companies and just coming here for holidays. And so after a while, I just love London. And when my parents passed away, I decided to live in London because in 2014 I studied at the London Academy of Trading. I learned about applied derivatives trading, and my kids started going to university in here in London, so I decided to stay here, and I've been here since 8 years now, primarily working in the fintech and finance space. So the shipping has gone into the background, and I'm more in finance, financial technology, payments, blockchain, digital transformation, and of course AI and ChatGPT.
That's interesting. So you went down through that. So you worked for your dad's for a while, and then when did you decide you wanted out of the whole marine environment, start to move into fintech and that kind of thing? When did that start?
Well, it was about that time back in 2014. I love shipping. You get to travel the world. I used to travel a lot, but you travel and you're constantly on the road. It's 24/7. You miss holidays, celebrations. You're always on the move. I had a packed bag at home, ready to go at any time. And I just got a little bit tired of it. And with fintech, it can also be 24 hours, but you decide your time. You can work from anywhere as long as you have an internet connection and a smartphone or a tablet or a desktop, and it's a lot easier, and it's very rapidly evolving. It's very interesting, so I like it very much.
So when did you get into Moonwell Ventures, investor relations? Well, how did it come? I get everything else, but you could go from shipping to Moonwell Ventures. How did that happen?
Well, it was at the time with ICO. You remember those days with the crypto winter after that? It was very different. And now, back then, everybody was just going crazy about blockchain and ICOs. And so I got involved at that time with different projects. As you know, the Bitcoin course collapsed, we went into a crypto winter, and 95% of all ICOs were scams. So everybody kind of left that behind. And then I was here in London. For some time we were back on track, and then we had the pandemic, and then we went into lockdown, and then for the time being, I'm just coming back into the whole fintech space, especially in artificial intelligence, which is just rapidly moving forward, as you know.
Yeah, no, that's great. And so you were an ambassador of Bitmart. What is Bitmart?
Bitmart was a crypto exchange based in New York City, and they were basically trying to get companies to list on their exchanges. And as you know, back then with the ICO craze, a lot of people got involved, and they were competing to be on the bigger markets like Binance and the other crypto exchanges. And so they were fighting, and they were charging exorbitant amounts for people to list their token, because at the end of the day, those tokens were pretty much worthless. So you had to kind of convince them to put on a reputable crypto exchange to make it the whole project look good. But unfortunately, a lot of projects which look good and raised millions and millions, they went bankrupt or stopped operating, or they just disappeared with the money. So it was quite a big disappointment back then in the ICO space and all that. So I kind of distanced myself in 2019 after the crypto winter. I kind of stood back from all of that.
And then you were advisors at Aero, and you did that for a year, Czech Republic, for blockchain. What happened to that company? It was all fast blockchain 3.0.
Well, they were at the last stage, last phase of the ICO craze, and that was actually one of the best companies that I presented. They all were in the blockchain ICO space, and they all were issuing tokens and trying to get funding. But at that time, it started collapsing, and then they stopped, and they've pivoted to another form of blockchain. But basically, Iron was a super fast blockchain, which was using different side chains and off chains to make the whole project, the whole blockchain technology faster. It's unfortunate because it was actually a really good project and a good one of the serious ICOs, which in the end couldn't get financing because all the other fake ones were going bust, and so they didn't get the funding that they did to continue their work, which was quite unfortunate. Because I enjoyed working with the CEO. He was very nice. He was very intelligent. It was just great working with him. So yeah, it was just all this ICO thing came to an end, and I just distanced myself at that time. There were some big projects that went bust, and I ended up with the short end of the stick, and I was very disappointed in all that. And I also don't want to get involved with any kind of project that is not serious, or where you don't have the outcome that you set out to do.
Yeah. So then you were at GigZ, your advisor for GigZ. You did that for a while. Yeah, you got a lot of advisory board position, and then you did contributing author to the marketing mogul. Market mogul. How did that happen?
I started writing articles on fintech and finance, and I started liking it a lot. And I was fortunate to meet this lady. Her name is Susanne Chishti. She's the CEO of FinTECH Circle. And so she was instrumental to assist me with this project with writing articles. So I was writing articles, and I had a lot of feedback, a lot of reading. So at a certain point, on Market Mogul, I had 14 published articles, and they were read 35,000 times. So they reached #1 spot on the Market Mogul. And one article in particular on Goldman Sachs was read about 6,000 times. So it was very conducive for me to continue that, because I saw there was a great resonance. And so I got invited by Mrs. Susanne Chishti to contribute to one of her books, which was called the Wealth Tech book. And then after that, I contributed to the Pay Tech book, to the AI book, and to the Legal Tech book, which is the intersection of the legal profession with the world of technology. And then when we went into lockdown, I decided to write 2 books. One is called The Corona Crash, and the second one is called The Financial Revolution, which is about Bitcoin, blockchain, and digital transformation. And so now I'm writing my 3rd book, which is called Rethink Digital Future. And I'm combining everything that I've learned in all these times. And the main topic is ChatGPT. So speaking about generative artificial intelligence. But to tell you honestly, Gary, I can't even keep track. I'm following this every day. I'm reading newsletters every day. There's about 1,000 apps coming out, one better than the other one. It's just amazing technology. I think it needs regulation. I think it needs supervision and governance, and maybe even self-direction from the big tech companies. Because I think in the wrong hands, it can be very problematic. For example, deep fakes, let's say, copyrights and so on. And I think that once it's regulated, we should embrace the technology and harness its power, that we use it to our advantage. Because in the bad hands, bad actors could really take advantage of the situation. So you know probably about this, and that's something I think we should really focus on.
No, you're right. It is about, there's a lot out there, but the other thing is we have a lot of challenges as a humanity, from global warming to the issue of by 2050 global food supply, and we need tools and technologies out there to help us to be able to live better, live longer, safer lives. So the next evolution of this was with emotion, compassion, kind of like grandmother, will be able to help us to do things differently than we've done before. And you're right. No matter what, it's like training a child and not treating a child or animal right. They
Yeah.
on you. You got to do the right stuff, and it's not if it's going to happen. It is. And so there's a lot of the future is today and not tomorrow. But let's talk about, you did, you're doing the blockchain stuff. You're still involved with impact of fundraising, right? So as a part advisor for blockchain, what's going on with blockchain?
Well, blockchain, you see the different protocols are coming out at light speed. Everybody's trying to get the fastest, more scalable blockchain protocol. For me, I think the three biggest game changers, number one is AI, artificial intelligence, combined with blockchain and tokenization. I think those are the three biggest game changers in the world of fintech and finance. And I also believe that AI on its own is a game changer of epic proportions. It can be bigger than smartphones and the internet combined. We just need to be able to use it to our advantage, increase productivity, make things better, and use it for good purposes. And if we could do that, I think we could solve a lot of problems, like you mentioned, the food crisis, climate change, and so on and so on. I think we should move to impact investing and sustainable finance, and make sure that we keep that in balance, because right now it's just totally out of balance. I mean, we talk about like, for example, in the UK, we were talking about being carbon zero by 2030, and now the prime minister just issued 100 drilling license in the UK offshore industry to start drilling for oil and gas. And I'm thinking to myself, what are we talking about here? We're talking about renewable energies, and now we're going back to fossil fuels. So yeah, there's a lot of things that are being said, but there's not a lot being followed up. So you see, COP26 and 27. People made all kinds of promises, but nobody's sticking to the program. So it's a big problem. It's a big problem.
Well, the problem is, the challenge of running out of fuel. We're not having enough fuel to, we got 8.1 billion people projected to go to 13 billion by the end of the century. What happens in places like London, places like Stockholm, when there is no more fuel? So we better go down through and think about alternative ways to be able to heat our homes, alternative ways, as we've done, to be able to power cars, alternative ways to be able to help maintain our standard of living. And I'm not sure that we've focused enough on it, but we got it, and it's in each and every one of our hands to be able to go out. We do in fact control our destiny. So you've gone through, you got the blockchain stuff. What's right now? What's your focus? What are you interested in right this second?
Generative AI. So I'm following all the developments, and like I said, I can't keep track. Um, I'm part of the APPG artificial intelligence at Westminster Parliament. So it's an informal group within the Parliament where you go talk to the parliamentarians that decide on legislation in regards to artificial intelligence. And so those APPGs, these all-party parliamentary groups, are informal because they want to have the opinion from people that are involved in the industry from all different backgrounds and from all different spectrums. So they don't want just lobbyists coming in there talking about AI like the big tech companies. They want to have people that are involved, like I'm just a consultant in that part, advisor. And what I think is the most crucial thing that needs to happen right now, urgently, is that we regulate AI in the same way like we did with privacy, like with the GDPR. We need to have people being responsible and liable for the biases that go into these algorithms and for the outcomes of those decisions being made by generative AI, for example, ChatGPT, because we talked about it in the last show. You have these things called hallucinations. ChatGPT gives an answer that looks so realistic that you might end up believing it, but we need to watch out for that. We also need to watch out for deep fakes, and we also need to watch out for misinformation, propaganda, disinformation, deep fakes, and so on. So the first step, in my opinion, is we need to have regulation, even if it's self-regulation by the big tech companies, but we need to do something now at the G20 level or the United Nations. I consider AI in the same terms as nuclear energy. Nuclear energy in the wrong hands can be catastrophical, but in the right hand, it can do a lot of good. We can have unlimited energy, like we have in France. 70% of the electricity power grid in France is nuclear powered, and they don't have any issues with waiting for gas or oil to come from Russia. They just have their own power. And so we have moved far, far away from that time, from Chernobyl times in the 80s, till now that we have developed robust systems where we can have nuclear power and provide electricity to the general population. And the same needs to happen with AI. We need to be careful with how it's developing because right now it's going too rapid. We need to slow it down. And I think that's one of the most important things that needs to happen right now. We need to have an international framework where we all stick sort of by the same rules. And one part that is very interesting right now is we could have one of the big issues that's already coming up to think the copyright. I mean, there was a court decision just recently, like last week, where a judge ruled that AI cannot have copyright, and it's right because who owns the copyright? And so one way to do that would be to put it on blockchain where you can trace down who owns the original copyright of a sound, a drawing, a painting, any kind of creative work. And that we can keep then on blockchain and have a provenance of that copyright. So there's a lot of hurdles that we need to overcome to be able to fully deploy and utilize artificial intelligence, in particularly generative AI.
No, it's great. So, we're coming up to the top of the show. In summary, what do you think will happen over the next 5 years in terms of AI and blockchain? And then, how do people get a hold of you?
I think what's going to happen in 5 years is hard to predict. I think it's going so fast that I don't even know what to say. What's going to happen in 1 month? I see some incredible things being created and developed, apps, APIs with different platforms and different apps. It's just amazing stuff that is happening. I think that it's going to be beneficial. The bad side of all of this is a lot of people are going to lose their jobs. So Goldman Sachs has predicted that 300 million people might lose their jobs, and I think that's a conservative estimate. I think it's going to be more like 500 million, because you don't only have to look at the graphic designers and the financial analysts that might lose their jobs, but you need to look at the people that supply and service those companies, the companies that are in the buildings. For example, when we went into lockdown, Canary Wharf, which is a secondary banking center in London, they almost shut down. They went bankrupt, and nobody was there. The shops closed. There's a shopping mall in the Canary Wharf complex, and they were closed. And so, city of London, where the traditional banking center was, if you go today, a lot of those have closed down. Entire buildings are empty, which means there's no cleaners, there's no people supplying, there is no people buying coffee and lunch. So a whole industry dies with it. And I was just reading today, IBM predicts that 40% of the people that are working today will have to reskill one way or another, because AI is going to affect every single industry in every part of the world. So I think in 5 years' time, we will see a big reskilling And unfortunately, at the same time, we will see a big wave of people being let off, being dismissed, or just being fired from work because they're going to be replaced by automation, robotization, and algorithms.
Yeah, you're right. And what's the best way for people to get a hold of you, Jerry?
For me, the best way is to connect with me on LinkedIn. Just mention this webinar, right? GSD Venture Studios, Gary Fowler, and I know who it is because I get many requests, and I cannot keep track who is what. Second, you can reach me on my email, which is jerry.floros@gmail.com. I read my emails. And for the rest, I'm on WhatsApp, Messenger, and all those channels, but sometimes I can't keep track of all the information and all the messages that I'm receiving. And I apologize. Sometimes I don't have the time. I just don't notice to reply. So number one, LinkedIn. Number two, Gmail.
All right.
And number three, via you, Gary. If anybody wants to call you, tell them to call you and then connect me, you know.
No problem. Hey, listen, thanks for taking time in your busy schedule to join today. And
Okay.
thanks to my audience for joining one more time. GS presents Silicon Valley AI and Tech, and I'm your host, Gary Fowler. Stay tuned for another exciting edition on Thursday. Stay happy, stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll be back to you again soon. Thank you so much. Bye, everybody.
Thanks for having me. Take care, Gary. Have a nice day. Bye, Fabio.